All right. So welcome to another episode of Uhuru Mindset. I'm excited about this episode. We're going into our 12th episode and we're still going strong, having great conversations and dialogues about different aspects of issues that are affecting the African Black community and coming up with different solutions to these problems and highlighting those people who have really been doing great things in our community. I am Ikemba. I'm here with Empress, Whisper, and Feist. And we are your hosts for Uhuru Mindset. And we say Uhuru because Uhuru means freedom. And in our movement, we are constantly in a Uhuru mindset. And we're going to stay in this mindset until we overthrow this colonial relationship that we have had as Black people, as African people for the past 600 years. And so I want to acknowledge the president of our organization, of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, which is President Columbai Antoinette, located in St. Louis, Missouri. I want to acknowledge her leadership and the entire International Executive Committee. I also want to acknowledge the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru Movement, Omali Yeshitela, who founded the party and this organization in 1972. And it is through the theory of the theory that he developed of African internationalism that has allowed us to develop institutions to address all of these problems that we face living under colonial conditions. Actually, the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement was created as a result of the work of the African People's Socialist Party. And our organization was created in 1991, and we have been doing great work ever since then. And so Uhuru Mindset was created out of the theory, using the theory of African internationalism, and used as a challenge to the colonial institutions, a challenge to colonialism, and a challenge to the colonial media that often portrays African people as in degrading ways and undermines the African liberation struggle. It has undermined the Black liberation movement of the 60s, and it continues to undermine our movement in this fight for self-determination. In our movement, we understand that self-determination is the highest expression of democracy. And so in today's episode of Uhuru Mindset, we're going to be discussing overcoming the colonial diet with a healthful lifestyle. I'm excited about the conversation that we're going to have and the guest that's going to be here as we address the particular foods that we eat that has an impact not just on our physical health, but also on our mental health. But we understand in this movement that our health is directly related to the social system that we live in. You can't disconnect the mental health and physical health of the people from the social system. And under colonialism, I mean, this history, even if you go back to slavery, you think about the foods that we had access to during slavery. It was the most unhealthy foods. So under slavery and colonialism, the slave or the subject in the system is usually marginalized and has less access to the things that will sustain their life over a long period of time. And that's why when you go into the Black community, food is being mass produced. The cheapest food, the most unhealthy food can be found in the Black community. And this is connected to genocide when you think about the foods that we eat that has been impacting our health. When the coronavirus had hit, this pandemic, colonial virus, and how they were saying people with pre-existing conditions were more more likely to attract the coronavirus than people who had healthy and strong immune systems. And these people disproportionately with pre-existing conditions were in the Black community. And why is that so? It's not inherent. It's something about the system that we have to acknowledge and understand to be able to overcome these health issues and overcome this colonial virus that we have been facing for the last 600 years. And so, I'm excited about this conversation. When I think about my own story, and the best that I felt is when I was eating healthy and taking care of myself. The worst that I felt was when I was eating these unhealthy foods, and not just physically, but mentally. There's a connection. They say people with diabetes are 2 times likely to suffer from depression than those who do not have diabetes. And then when you look further into the statistics, there's always this connection with the mental health of the people and their physical health. And under colonialism, we have this system constantly tells African people and Black people that we're inferior, that we're inadequate, which impacts the way that we view ourselves and feel about ourselves, which can impact the way that we treat our physical bodies. So, with that being said, once again, I'm very excited. I want to thank everybody for tuning into Uhuru Mindset and being part of this discussion and dialogue. And looking forward to, this interview today. So I want to say Uhuru, and we're going to go do what we usually do and go into our musical selection and come back and begin this discussion. Uhuru.
Things that make your body feel good. Oh, them the thing I like though. Things that make your body feel good. Oh, them the thing we like though. Things that make your body feel good. Oh, things that make your body feel good. Only the things that make your body feel good. Oh, them the thing we like though. Love it when the muscles start burn. Love it when the body start learn how to bend. Like to feel the pelvis oscillate and kundalini activate, and I'm transported to a higher state. Into the sea or into the dance around the yoga mat. Into the office or into the vehicle or anywhere I'm at. Just monitor the hydration and surrender to the high vibration of the things that make your body feel good. Oh, them the thing we like though. Things that make your body feel good. Oh, them the thing we like though. Things that make your body feel good. Oh, things that make your body feel good. Only the things that make your body feel good. Oh, them the thing we like though. As a herbalist living with the land, trust me, there is a cure for every illness known to man, but it takes courage and knowledge and patience to create the optimal state. Starts with what is on your plate. That will teach your brain what you endow in and make it fill your vessel up with endorphins. So when you get to working and need the strength, the raw and the natural will help you reach the length for those things that make your body feel good. Oh, them the thing we like though. Things that make your body feel good. Oh, them the thing we like though. Things that make your body feel good. Oh, things that make your body feel good. Only the things that make your body feel good. Oh, them the thing we like though. Let me show you how to stretch your strings. Let me help your heart open. Sensations and
All right. I was about to get carried away with that. That song. Yo, hey,
That song.
that
was a great selection.
Yeah. So we got Feist gonna be picking the music.
Indeed. Yeah, that was nice.
Nah, good. And relevant to this discussion, because we want to definitely do things that make our body feel good. And this work that we're doing as well, this is revolutionary work that we're doing. And, as we're building these alternatives to colonialism, we don't want to neglect our health. A lot of people in the African community are not really, educated on the foods or even the particular lifestyle that is needed to to sustain us or extend our life. And so, you know, if you think about that connection too, when you talk about even education, 'cause I think education has something to do with it as well, right? And going back to the connection with the social system, in the schools that we go to, like I was growing up, you know, we didn't have access to even healthy foods within the schools that I was attending.
They said they give us pizza and French fries, and they turn us into starchitarians. And they really sit there and argue like the nutritional value of a potato, and then they're feeding us starch every day, as opposed to, you know, foods that have minerals. Because we were talking earlier, it's like it's all about it being a business. They don't really care about giving us the nutrients and minerals that our African bodies need. They tell us that, oh, if we drink milk, which is cow pus, you know, that that's the minerals and vitamins that we need. And in school, yeah, we would have pizza, which is very unhealthy. It doesn't do anything good for the brain. And then we're washing it down with a glass of chocolate milk or white milk, regular milk, and it is just ridiculous. And then we wonder why we didn't want to be there. Our brains couldn't function, and we felt so much brain fog trying to get through the day in school. So it's just, you bring up a great point that we have to take care of our bodies and really pay attention to, after we eat something, how did it make our body feel? Did we feel electric? Did we feel energized? Or did we feel run down, sluggish, tired, and discouraged from, you know, it really plays to different parts in our brain. So that's a really good point that you made. And we need our bodies strong and light and energetic to continue the revolutionary fight. Uhuru.
Hey, Uhuru, but yo, look who came.
And look at our beautiful guests are here. Okay, so now I'm even more excited.
Very excited.
Let me give y'all a proper introduction. Okay, you see me? I'm very excited. All right, let's go. Our beautiful divine guests, Asana Ra and Chef Don, they are owners of Flavortown NYC and Asana Ra Holistic Care. Okay, so listen, if y'all follow them on Instagram, right? Flavortown_NYC and Asana Ra Holistic Care. You correct me if I hope that's the correct Instagram, right? I'm good? Okay. Delicious, amazing alkaline plant-based food company, and they have alkaline juices as well. They have delivery services. They also do private dinners. They also do private catering for special occasions, or if you want to do like a little private date night, they do that. They do it all without using any animals, any cow meat, any of that. No animal products here, right? So let me tell you what looks amazing, what I need to order, because I'm in Brooklyn and they deliver, like I said. So let me just list a few things I would order. The zucchini lasagna, 100% plant-based. The Kamut mac and cheese. The savory fried oysters, right? The electric baked ziti, the electric rasta pasta, the mac and cheese, the chicken noodle soup, and the tropical vibes juice. Oh, and get this, right? Let me tell you something. I even got to take out my nose ring. The grape juice is made with seeded grapes, not the seedless GMO grapes. So we have to keep that in mind. So that's who we are speaking with today. Wonderful Asana Ra and Chef Don, partners in life, partners in business, and this is what we love to see. So we're so excited to have you and speak with you on this topic, very important topic for our African community. So first, we would like to ask you to introduce yourselves to the people and tell us a little bit about yourself to get the conversation started.
Okay. Peace, family. Peace. I'm Asana Ra, CEO and founder of Asana Ra Holistic Care, wife to Chef Don here. And together, we're just all about the holistic way of living, right? The alkaline and divine way of living. So it's not just about being plant-based, but really taking a holistic approach and watching what we say, right? Watching what we intake in all parts of our lives. So it's not just diet and what we're eating on the fork, right? But more so what music we're listening to, what books we're reading or lack thereof, right? And so it's really just taking a holistic approach to really preserving this culture. That's what we're about.
Yes, well said, well said. And I'm just here as a reflection to my wife. I'm Chef Don, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I've been alkaline vegan for about 4 years now. Transitioned pretty much the same way as everybody else, as our Black people are today. I came across the knowledge, just doing my research, and just wanted to live my best life. And I also did my own research and studies to lead back to ancient times where, you know, the African diet, holistic diet, was a plant-based diet. So that just gave me more energy. As I'm finding myself, you know, I'm also being innovative in my career, changing the way I cook, changing the way I eat, changing the way I dress, and the way I think. And it just became a whole holistic thing for me. And here I am today.
That's wonderful. So yes, I love that you're touching on the whole holistic aspect of it, because I say all the time, and it just resonates so much with you saying it's not only about what's on your fork, because we can eat avocados and blueberries all day, but if we have anger and resentment and this terrible mindset, we can still get sick. We will get sick. So I love that you mentioned that. So Chef Don, you have been alkaline vegan for 4 years. Asana Ra, how long have you been alkaline vegan?
Around the same time.
You transitioned together?
Yeah.
Beautiful. See, partnership and doing it together is like.
Who did it first?
Here you go.
It was me. It was me.
It was you? Okay. But I was going to say it was Asana Ra.
The trick to it was we transitioned. So I was a pescatarian, but she was actually vegetarian. And that's when she kind of motivated me to be a vegetarian. And then I actually transitioned to vegan, and then she followed suit, transitioned to vegan.
Technically, Asana Ra kind of did it first.
Yeah,
she stopped eating animal products. She stopped eating flesh first.
My bad, brothers, but yeah, she got us that time, you know.
Okay.
No, I asked
what's your name, sister, so I can address you properly. I'm sorry.
Say it again.
I said, what's your name, sister? So I can.
I'm Empress Livewire.
One more time.
You hear me? I'm Empress Livewire.
Empress Livewire. Thank you.
No, thank you. I should have said that before, but it's fine. Yeah.
I was just saying,
and we're here with Feist and Whisper as well. Whisper and Feist are on the interview as well.
Okay. Give thanks. Peace
and Black Power, family. Peace and Black Power.
Indeed, all day. And so I had asked that question because I'm thinking about my own experience. I had transitioned to vegan years ago because of a woman that I was in a relationship with. And it's not, I already wanted to change my way of eating, but that was my inspiration, I guess, like motivation to do it. Someone that was already living that lifestyle. And so she was able to educate me. But then, you know, I got out of that relationship, and then I found myself like falling back into eating unhealthy again. But mind you, like I was off of red meat since a teenager, because that's when I came into consciousness. But it was more so, don't eat red meat, don't eat pork, don't eat beef. But I still was eating chicken and still was eating unhealthy, really. And then I transitioned to vegan again, and it was because of a woman that I was dating.
You know how we do it. Okay?
Yeah. You know, but so once again, like that relationship didn't work out. I found myself going back. So I say all that to say though, this time I'm making a transition. It's the first time I'm doing it because I want to do it. You know, like nobody else is inspiring me. It's just something that I'm like, yo, I need to do this. And Empress Livewire knew the story too of like why I'm making this change. But
I think you should share it.
Yeah, it's like I was eating some chicken, and as I was eating the chicken, I visualized a live chicken. Like I just saw chickens like this used to be a living, breathing animal. And I'm eating the flesh of this animal, and it just disgusted me. Like, yo, I can't do this no more. Yeah. So I was just like shocked from that experience, and so I'm just like done with that food. You know, I'm done with eating live animals. I do it.
That's really something, because I have a pretty similar story. The day that I was turned off from being pescatarian, right? Because we definitely transitioned into being alkaline. And I'll never forget, we went to a restaurant, and at this time he was already vegan at that point. And I was like, I just want a lobster tail. I just want a lobster tail.
And I said, you know, go ahead. You got a craving. You know, if you want to get your cravings out the way, get it out the way. So
I ordered that lobster tail. And now me, you know, with our Western mindset, I'm thinking it's going to be fried and pretty on the plate and everything like that. out comes a full lobster staring me right in my face. Like literally, like this place right in front of me. And I was just like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that.
Oh, that was spirit. It was like, oh, you want a lobster tail? And it gave you that. Yeah, we thought it was going to like
This is exactly what you
asked for. There was a lobster tank in the restaurant.
Gave you a lobster tail.
Empress had that same experience. You had
I had a similar experience. So a commercial for Red Lobster came on, and it was like the full lobster and the shrimp, and it looked like big cockroaches. Like on the screen, and I was like, "Oh my god, it was so gross!"
And you can't see it.
Yeah, and I actually like certain seafood, like salmon and shrimp. But when you really get, down to, especially like for women, how shrimp, affects our reproductive system, and it's just acidic food. So it's just like, I don't even want to eat it anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there comes to a point where that craving subsides. You don't even have that. And so that's one thing where we practice a lot of grace and patience in our journey. Like if we had a craving for something, we had it because we knew that there was going to be a point where we didn't even want it anymore. So that's the way that we transitioned. We didn't really declare, as of today, I'm vegan. It didn't really work like that. Things kind of just fell out. And then our bodies just kind of let us know, like, all right, or the universe, kind of let us know, like, you're done with that.
Oh my gosh, I love that you brought that up, because I think we prolong our journeys of transition, and because we don't have the grace, and we're, again, it goes back to the mindset, we're beating up on ourselves for having the craving. Like I would do that when I had a craving for like chocolate or for a burger. I'm like, oh my God, I just really want to taste for a burger that's like fresh off the grill. And I wouldn't allow myself that grace. I'm just like, you know what, you're just a failure. You just can't do it. You don't have the willpower or the discipline. And in that, you're not like you said, allow yourself the grace to have the craving and satisfy the craving. Once you eat it, you're like, whoa, I thought I craved that, but that actually wasn't tasty, or it didn't serve my higher self. So now I'm craving a kale salad or an electric vegan dish from Flavortown NYC. So it really does happen like that when you give yourself grace. So that is such a great point. I love that.
Let me ask though, like, why is this important though to eat, have an alkaline based diet, and why people shouldn't eat chicken and hamburgers and all of that? Like, what's the significant, what's the connection, with the food?
Connection is what Empress Livewire was stating. Also is connecting to your higher self. Eating this food right now, we see it as a trend. We might see it as new, but this ain't nothing new under the sun. So this is what our ancient people was eating as a whole, a holistic way of eating. And to the present day, our biological makeup matches it matches and complements the diet of us having a plant-based diet. And the proof of that is African Americans here in America, we are the highest rated people with sickness, heart disease, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, and we all know it, but we became immune to it without asking why. And once you ask the why, you will see the connection is the food. The soul food, so-called, that they call the soul food that's attached to our culture, is not the best food for us. It's not feeding our soul. It's not feeding our highest self. So we have to make that connection first. And then once you realize that, you start to eliminate what doesn't serve your highest self anymore. When you're feeling that itis, that means that the food that you ate is keeping you down. It's bringing your body down on the physical level and on the spiritual level. So when you have the itis, that just means that your body has to sleep because it can't stay up producing and your digestive system to be that active throughout the day. So that's why you feel tired, because your body just shuts down. But food should be energy. It should be, it's like a car. You want to give a car a good oil. You want to give your car a good tune-up, a good engine, a good transmission. The same thing with your body. You don't want to give your body bad oil. You want to give your body the supreme oil, so that's pretty much the mindset that we have to adapt when we transition into the plant-based diet.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think Whisper wanted to say something. I think I could tell when you start leaning.
I was just curious if anybody came to you to make special things to improve their immune system because they had COVID, or took the shot, or was just feeling sick.
Personally, no. but that's just of the people that I've been encountered with. More than not, people I've encountered with are more in tune with their diet, more in control of their health. So I don't have those altercations. But if someone was to approach me, have a question and that sort of say, I would definitely recommend herbs. I'll definitely recommend drinking teas such as elderberry. You have to increase your iron, as we all have to do living in North America. We're further away from the sun, so we lack the vitamin D from the sun just by geographic location. So it's definitely iron intake is a very vital thing to do. With COVID, without COVID. Sarsaparilla, dandelion root, yellow dog root, elderberry, and you can find these at your local health stores. It's just the fact that we have to know what we're looking for, you know, and knowing what you like. And I say these things to, you know, help people, and also when they go into the store, they see the name. Oh, I know that. Just make the connection right there. And you know, if you want to dig in the rabbit hole, you'll find a lot of things as well. But that's definitely where to start. Increase in iron. Elderberry is good for the immune system. It's in all the cough syrup. If you look at every cough syrup, NyQuil, Robitussin, it all has elderberry. It's the flavor. But if you could just remove the middleman and grab the elderberry itself, you could buy it from a health food store as well. You could buy it dry. You could buy a tea form, bag tea form, and it's all there. It's all there for us.
That's a great question, Whisper. We do have another question in the chat, but it's time now for the Uhuru Mindset announcements. If you're in need of your daily dose of revolutionary news, please subscribe to the Burning Spear newspaper at burningspearmarketplace.com. Again, for your revolutionary news, please visit burningspearmarketplace.com. You can find the link in the description box or the live chat. If you are in the tri-state area, you do not want to miss the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement's town hall meeting taking place tomorrow, Saturday, May 1st in Brooklyn, New York at 677 Lafayette Avenue at the Magnolia Earth Tree Center. Again, that's tomorrow, May 1st, Brooklyn, New York at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. So make sure you're there early to grab you a nice seat in the front. Anyone up early on a beautiful, cozy Sunday morning with nothing to watch? Tune in to O'Malley Taught Me every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern for your weekly political education on African internationalism. You can tune in on Facebook Live and also on YouTube. Please see the description box for those links. Again, that's O'Malley Taught Me. It is done by our chairman of the African People's Socialist Party. It's very, very informative. It's amazing. It's better than binge watching Netflix on Sunday mornings. I promise you. O'Malley Taught Me every Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. And the baby unites. She agrees. One Africa, One Nation Marketplace, aka the Uhuru Flea Market, will be taking place in Philly from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Clark Park on 43rd and Chester. Again, that's Clark Park. That's on 43rd and Chester. And that is, again, the One Africa, One Nation Marketplace. And that's taking place on May 15th. And that's a Saturday. African Liberation Day Rally. We're going to have an African Liberation Day Rally on May 22nd in Brooklyn, New York on Pitkin and Rockaway Avenue. Again, we're going to have an African Liberation Day Rally. May 22nd, that's also a Saturday in Brooklyn, New York on Rockaway Avenue and Pitkin Avenue. Also in honor of African Liberation Day, the African People's Socialist Party will be hosting a virtual two-day conference. That's exciting. Again, that's a virtual two-day conference. It's in honor of African Liberation Day on May 22nd as well. The Eventbrite link will be in the description box so that you can register, or in the live chat. African Liberation Day is an annual day where Africans come together to discuss strategies for liberation. So be sure to tune into the African Liberation Day two-day conference. It's a virtual event and you can sign up on Eventbrite. Uhuru.
All right, Uhuru. I was thinking as I was listening to those announcements, I was fully present for those announcements as well, but I was, but
you ain't got to lie.
I'm thinking about food as y'all were talking about. Well, Chef Don, you were saying some things. You're making a connection with. You know, just eating right. I think it was in regards to a question I had asked, right? But what was going through my mind was reactionary suicide. I remember reading Huey P. Newton's Revolutionary Suicide. And he was talking about people who like, you know, go to work, you know, work these 9 to 5s, you know, they smoke cigarettes, drink, you know, alcohol when they get off of work, just like engaging in all of these destructive acts. And he called that reactionary suicide. He's like, you know, because we're dying, the system is killing us, but we're not doing anything to transform the system. And but you know, I raised that to say like, yeah, you know, like the, you know, the very system, like what connection have y'all been able to make with the social system that we live in, and why we engage in these you know, destructive eating habits and lifestyles that has really been, you know, harming us and harming our children. You know, because one thing, there's just to add to that, I think about post-traumatic slave syndrome, the Joy DeGruy, you know, she wrote a book, she did some research on this, and she talked about the trauma that African people have faced during slavery and how that trauma has been transferred on from generation to generation. And so I make the connection with food because I think about the habits, like the impact it has had on our minds, our psychology. So the mental illness as a result of living under slavery and colonial conditions, and how now the way that we eat has become a part of our culture, which is killing, you know, which is killing us at the end of the day, but it has become a part of our culture. But has there been anything that y'all have learned as far as this connection with the system and the way that we eat?
Ooh. Brother, where do we start?
Yeah.
Okay. We're currently still studying Dr. Llaila Afrika's work, you know, and if you guys don't know about him, definitely check out our recent ancestor. You know, he just transitioned a couple of months ago. So we want to pay homage and respect to him and give thanks for the works that he's left behind, along with his wife, Dr. Melanie Stevenson, who is still here. So they're still very much doing the work. But what he speaks about is when you change the geographic location of a people, right, then you're kind of changing their daily life. And so just like King said, we're from the tropics, right? We're closer to the equator. So we're used to the sun kind of giving us fruits and vegetables in abundance. We're used to vegetation, right? So we exist in a space of abundance. Now, Caucasians, for example, they come from caves, right? And so when they had to go out and hunt and gather, they had to preserve all the food that they got. They had to use every part of the animal, and they preserved this food with salt and sugar, and that's where we get beef jerky from, right? And that's why we're so addicted to that combination, because of how Caucasians preserve their food. Now, when we were transported away from the tropics into this geographic location, due to the melanin that we had to adapt, right? And we're very good at that as a people, but we have to be knowledgeable of the fact that we've adapted another culture. And the problem is that we've taken this foreign culture and identified with it as our own. And that's a problem. And so when we talk about honey ham and we talk about soul food and mac and cheese, you know, the reason our ancestors put cloves into the ham is because they knew that cloves were anti-parasitic. And they knew that if you leave pork alone, you know, you're gonna get some worms coming out of there. And they knew that. And so because this food was given to us as the slops, right, what was left over, we have to still apply the knowledge that we had with the herbal education that we had, just from us being as in tune with nature as we are, right? We had to apply this knowledge, put cloves in the ham in order to try to get the worms out of there before we eat it. And we put honey on it because the worms will come towards it and the clove will kill it. Right. And now we put that on the Thanksgiving table, right? And we call this soul food without being knowledgeable of the fact that our ancestors did that because they had to, right? It wasn't something that they chose to do. And now we've adapted this foreign culture to be our own, and we celebrate it. And so we have to take it back. We have to take it back, because once we start adapting a culture of anyone outside of our race, we become sick. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're wearing somebody else's clothes, right? We're eating somebody else's food. We're reading somebody else's books. We're listening to somebody else's music. And you're seeing this manifest in all aspects of our lives in our community. And so you're not seeing families together anymore. You know, it gets deep. It gets really deep. But it's really coming from that geographic change and made us have to accept a culture that we then took on and identified with ourselves.
Yeah. To add on to that is the system is built to attack your melanin, point blank. And when you understand the composition and the compounds of the melanin, the reaction, what food to eat that betters your melanin and what food that you eat will deteriorate your melanin. Once you understand that, then you will see why there's a McDonald's on every corner, why there's cigarettes, why during the pandemic, the only thing that was open was fast food and liquor stores. That, you know, that's the type of attack and that's the type of mentality and push that they use as methods to attack our melanin. So that's what we have to do. We have to learn how to protect that in all aspects, mentally, physically, and spiritually, however that resonates with you. And that's how we have to stop that oppression. And once we understand that, we'll be able to leap forward and, you know, as a whole, as a community.
Without being victims to our circumstances.
Yeah. Those are beautiful answers. We give thanks for that. You guys raised amazing points. Like, you know, we're addicted to what we've been eating all these years and we thought it was healthy. And Asana Ra, you raised a good point about like the why. Why do we add cloves and honey and pineapples and all that stuff to the Thanksgiving ham that we put on the table? It's like knowing the why and being very conscious of that. Then when we do see the ham and the clove, you don't want to eat it anymore. So I think it's very important for us to have these conversations and have you on, Asana Ra and Chef Don, to raise things like this. Like, why is there clove on the ham? Why are we eating this? Where did this come from? Because like you said, that's not our diet. That's not the African diet. And ham and pork is not something that would improve our melanin. It would deteriorate it. And it's, you know, it's just so amazing that we can have these conversations, because I didn't know that's why the clove was added to the ham. It's like, okay, I know it's not good. I know it's not good for our melanin, but why was clove added to the ham? I didn't know that part. So that's amazing. You raised another great point. I forgot what it was, but it's okay. I want to transition a little bit to ask why, how is it being life partners and business partners, and how do you find the balance? And how do you know, like, do you have to say, like, for an example, right? Do you have to say, okay, I'm coming to you right now as a wife, I'm coming to you right now as your king, or I'm coming to you right now as your business partner? And then, like, does it get like, you know, like tense?
Wow, that's very divine. We had a conversation today, literally on that same, from that same paradigm, just what is expected from both of us and what is needed. Being that, you know, we are operating businesses and we are collabing, doing business together as well. Sometimes we do get caught up in the mix. And I can speak for myself, you know, as far as just how I am. I'm a Taurus, so I'm very grounding. I'm very stern, and I like to have plans. So I'm very particular in what I do and all my actions.
He's taking shots.
No. Sometimes
like, I like that plan.
And she's not.
Okay? And she's not. So finding that balance, really what it is, just communicating in every aspect. Whether you're in business with your partner or not, just communicate. You know, learn how to communicate. Learn the proper language that you need to use for one another. Learn trigger words that may not, you know, be the best word to choose in that conversation, but it's definitely communication. Just value communication and have the open and the vulnerability space to have communication.
Absolutely.
To have it present.
Absolutely. And even learning those trigger words and why they're triggering, right? Getting deep to it, because in order for us to really continue this revolution, we have to start in the household. So we have to make sure we're solid, right? And then everything that we do will be a reflection of our foundation. So when we start there, then everything else will be divine, as long as we're keeping things in ma'at. You know, if we're keeping things in harmony, then all will be well. But yeah, I think it's a lot of just learning yourself, right? Before you can learn your partner. So learning yourself, learning what works for you, what triggers you, why it triggers you, doing that work, and then allowing the grace and the patience for your partner to figure that out too. And then understand how to reflect the highest qualities of each other. And I know that this is, you know, I've been listening a lot to our sister Shahrazad Ali, and she speaks a lot about how as women, we can be real sharp with our tongues, right? Real sharp with our tongues. You can't out-argue a Black woman. It's not gonna happen. Like, you can't do it. So as women, we have to understand not just the power of being a woman, but the responsibility, right? And we have to ask ourselves, is what I'm about to say bringing him closest to his highest self, or gonna bring him to his lower self? And the brothers can do that same thing. Like, you can really use it as an exercise to really strengthen your discipline and strengthen your will. Like, is what I'm gonna say bring her closer to her higher self, or is it gonna bring her closer to her lower self? And if you kind of have that question before your interactions, then you can come to it with more clarity than with ego. And if we just understand that it's not us against each other, it's truly us against Wazungu, you know what I mean? Like, us against those that are anti-melanin kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's more important for us to be solid than anything else. So
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So embracing the principles of Ma'at, it keeps the unity strong on both fronts, the business and the relationship. And that's beautiful that no pun intended, you guys are able to marry the two. It's like, okay, business partner, these are my wants and needs, and then wife and husband, these are my wants and needs. And that's very intentional work to do, to first learn yourself and look yourself in the mirror, and then face this person and say, you know what, now I have to say something that's in your highest, best regard. Like, that's sometimes really hard to do. So that's amazing. That's really good.
Thanks.
Wait, Asana Rao, what's your sign?
Sagittarius.
Oh my God, y'all are firecrackers. Y'all don't listen to anybody. y'all are amazing, really fun, loyal people, but y'all are firecrackers. They're very adventurous.
Yes.
And spontaneous. That's why he was throwing those shots earlier.
He likes to stay on the ground. I like to go up to the ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Prez was about to say something.
No, I was going to ask a question about I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Like, my son, he seen me doing something and he still wanted like talk to me.
Brother.
Like, come
it's
on.
Okay, you know how to multitask.
24/7, man.
Say that again.
Father's 24/7.
Yeah.
Clock out.
For sure. So my question is about, so we had this pandemic, right? This colonial virus that hit us last year. I was just wondering y'all thoughts about this thing, because we was having a conversation before this about this campaign right now to get, everybody to get these vaccine shots, and it's a lot. There's a lot of propaganda out there, and so I guess, like, we don't want to tell people what they should do, but what is y'all position on it though? I'm just curious.
Well, I could definitely speak for both of us. No. NO, and all it is do your research. That's all I can say. Do your research, and do your research as their history always repeats itself. When it comes to these vaccines, when it comes to these viruses, when it comes to all these medical pandemics, it happened before, and let's look at the results. You got the Tuskegee experiment, handing out syphilis. The same thing is going on now. If we take control of our health in a holistic way, this whole pandemic will not affect us at all. So as for my people, just look into it, do your research, do not take their word for it. Don't trust them. Trust your word, trust your discernment, and look it up. Look everything up, because they tell you. Just how they tell you in the food, they're going to tell you in the vaccine. Look up them ingredients and tell me what you think. Or don't tell me, just tell yourself what you think about it, and if it's in your best interest of your health. That's all I can say on that.
That's we give thanks. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like, like right now they're testing. They're trying to see how people's bodies react to it. Because if you think about it, even you go to the doctor and they, before they prescribe anything, they ask you if you're allergic, to these medicines. Like right now, they can't even, do that. Right now, they're trying to find out who is allergic and who's not allergic. Like, they don't know anything. And so this is, testing ground for these vaccines. I met a sister one time at an event, and I'm bringing this up just to bring it back to the eating. She was in stage 3 cancer, I believe, and she went to the doctor, and they was telling her to what they do when you what they call that with the radiation. Chemotherapy, yeah. They was trying to throw her on that. So like when you had cancer, they try to quickly throw you on chemotherapy because it's like, you know, this is the only answer that they had. So she didn't want to do it, and she decided to change her eating lifestyle, eating style to alkaline base. And she, long story short, she did that, and within a year, the cancer was completely gone just from eating alkaline based diet. She said the doctors was like, yo, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. But before she got to that point, the doctor who tried to get on to do the chemo kept on telling her, if you don't do this, you're going to die. And even as she was getting better, he was like in denial. He was just like, well, it's going to come back. You know, he wasn't trying to, you know, like he was trying to get her to go on the chemo despite like her food, the way that she was eating was healing her. And the other part of that is she asked him just as a test, was like, yeah, so if I go on the chemo, how can I eat the same? And the doctor said, yeah, you know, you can eat pizza, chicken. Like the doctor is telling her to eat unhealthy. Man, I can't even, y'all get what I'm saying though, right? Like,
we can't trust the system.
Is doctors, to get your PhD, you don't take a class in nutrition. So they don't know what food is best for you. Now, if you go on an FDA website, you look at the food pyramid, it will say intake red meat as much as possible because you need your protein. And then when you look on the website, it would say red meat is connected with cancer, it's connected with high blood pressure, it's connected with colon cancer. So they pretty much give you a contradicting answer when it comes to what you should eat. So if that's the case, I won't listen to them at all. And as she did, she listened to her own intuition, which led her to gain back control of her health. Absolutely. And that's a beautiful, beautiful experience, and it gives her the power back. So I'm glad that hearing people out there who are taking control of their health, and I commend them on that because that's a part of revolution.
Word. That is revolutionary. Healing yourself and proclaiming that power to heal thyself. That's beautiful. And then when you heal yourself, you heal your family, because then you won't make your partner eat that food. You won't let your children or your mother, aunts, or uncles eat that food. Well, at least not if you can help it, not in your presence. So that is revolutionary. Ashe.
And that's the woman. The women are the healers. The women are the healers of the nation. The nation will be just as strong as your woman. So if all our women are tapping into that consciousness, getting the health factor under control, then they can heal families all across the world. And that's the goal that we need to ascend to.
Right. And like I think from before we were talking about like why we're stuck in a cycle even though we don't want to eat this food, and like but we still eat it. I think we need to find something to replace that with. So like let's say if I love Snickers bars every day, like I need to maybe get me some dates or start drawing or painting or go to therapy to find out why I need this. I have this dependence on this sweet so much, just as opposed like, because sometimes then it becomes an emotional need. So it goes back to what Asana Ra was saying, like knowing, you have to like really know yourself. So it's like on a deeper level, then you figure out, you know what, this is why I need this. I'm gonna replace this with real love. Like let me hug my daughter, let me hug my mom, let me just do something for the nation, let me go read books with children, you know, like finding something fulfilling as opposed to, oh, I need pizza, ice cream, and well, we can have pizza and ice cream, but I mean the
you said we can have pizza and ice cream.
Yeah, alkaline and plant-based. We can have alkaline pizza from Flavor Town _NYC. We can have alkaline, sugar-free, dairy-free ice cream from, you know, got to do your research on that because I don't want to recommend something then it got soy in it. I don't know. I know there's a way to have vegan alkaline-based ice cream. Maybe you can make it yourself in a blender, right?
Frozen coconut.
Yeah, we can recreate these things that we love in an alkaline way. So this is beautiful. I'm learning.
You really
somebody trying to book y'all. Go ahead.
Oh, good thing. But I mean, you really said it, sister, when you were talking about it becomes an emotional need. This brings us back to our studies with Dr. Laila Afrika. He talks about our obsession with sugar is due to the fact that when we were younger, our parents would always give us something sweet as a reward, right? It was like, oh, it's Friday, you want to go out for ice cream? Or they will bribe you with something sweet, you know what I mean? And if you don't listen, then you're not going to get a cookie or you're not going to get any ice cream. And so we've associated love as a love language with sugar in our food.
Yeah.
And that's why it becomes that emotional need, because now we've attached it psychologically, right, to something that is unhealthy for us. Not to white sugar in the process of making that. It gets deep, family. Like
it does get deep. Like
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to mention. Before we, I want to give you an opportunity to let people know what you have coming up before we close out with Feist. But I wanted to just mention, you was talking about the sugar. If you do the history on sugar and how it became mass produced because of there was African labor that was mass producing sugar, making this commodity cheaper, where now, Europe, masses of Europeans have access now to this sugar. But it was at the expense, people were able to get wealthy from the mass production of sugar, and consumers were able to get this at a cheap price, but this was all at the expense of African labor and the death of African people. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important to make that connection. Just like with chocolate, if you go to chocolate and people are still, cocoa farmers are still being exploited today. But Hershey, going back to early 20th century, Hershey chocolate was like a what they call it, like only a few people ate, like you had to have money. It was like a luxury to have chocolate, and they was able to mass produce that at the expense of the cocoa farmers in Africa and in the Americas too. Because it was exported from at least that cocoa in West Africa was exported from South America. So we have to make these connections. So even like when we're not eating certain foods, and consuming sugar and these things, is also a political statement, even though, we're eating healthy and so forth, but we got to think about the political implications too of not, because European society is able to thrive off of the expense of African people. And so we got to make that connection, I think, all the time. But I definitely want to, give y'all opportunity to give, your last thoughts, words, let people know, what y'all have coming up, where they can find you. I think we put some links in the chat, but, I want to give y'all the floor, and then we'll go to Feist. Uhuru.
Well, can I say something right to what you just said?
Most definitely, the floor is yours.
Okay, give thanks. I think it's important for us to understand the different paradigms that we're in, right? Being Africans in America and Africans that are still on the continent. And so there's, China is on Africa's land as we speak, right? But it's our nature as a people to assume the best of everyone. That's in our nature as a people. Now, us Africans in America, we're a little more skeptical about, the Caucasians because of what we've been through here. Now, Africans on the continent, they are still home, right? The land is still warm. And so they're much more in tune with their heart in that sense. So that's where they're going to need our help. That's where it's going to be super important for the Africans in America to connect with the Africans in Africa and let them know, like, all right, I know it might seem cool, right? But you got to be careful when you start doing business with people who may not have your best interests at heart, because then you get cocoa, which is more expensive for you to buy on the ground than for us to get out here. So they need us to let them know that, because it's in our nature to assume the best of another human. Yep. That's our nature, and that's not the problem. We just want to make sure that we're doing so with discernment. And so they need us to make that connection for them. So we definitely have to set that up, definitely. And then you want to tell them what we got going on?
Yeah. So we actually, tomorrow, we'll be hosting our pop-up at 203 Wilson Avenue in Bushwick.
Yes.
We have a complete alkaline menu with her alkaline juices and her holistic care products as well. Just to give you a brief scenario of the menu, We have an alkaline fish and grits, an alkaline fish and chips, and an alkaline crab cakes and grits. So it's all alkaline, 100% plant-based, no soy, no dairy, no flesh, no animal products being used, just 100% flavor, 100% love. And if you feel free to come by 1 to 8 p.m., we're there with open arms, with love, and we could definitely build and continue this revolution with one another.
Yes, indeed. It starts right here. Yes. It starts with you.
Indeed. What's the hours for that?
1 to 8.
1 to 8. Yeah, I'm coming through. You
going thanks, brother.
I'm coming through. That's
yes,
what's up.
Indeed.
Feist, go ahead.
When's the cookbook coming? Asana Ryan Flavor Town. Asana Ryan Chef Don.
Well, we're working on it. We're definitely working on it, but we're looking into making more intimate. So we're looking into for cooking classes. Another thing about Flavor Town, we also promote self-sufficiency. Definitely one of our big messages that we like to push across. Not only just we appreciate the support, but we also want that to be inspiration in other homes as well. So if you can come and enjoy alkaline food and enjoy the substitutes of the food that you've been eating previously, then it's more powerful when you can adapt it and have that control in your household, because that's how the revolution can continue growing and growing and growing.
Without us.
Without us, you know. Yeah. And it's bigger than the business. It's bigger than Flavor Town. This is a holistic lifestyle that we have to bring back.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So the cookbook is coming, but we want to make sure that we promote y'all to try it yourself first, right? We all went through the same journey of just transitioning, and so have fun with that creative process. Have fun with that creative process, and let that kind of guide you. Let the inspiration guide you.
We're definitely looking for in-person cooking classes,
so we could build.
Yeah, we want to build. We want to be able to talk, eye to eye contact, be in the same energy, space, frequency, and build that back. I'm this whole pandemic, and I like what you said, brother, the colonial virus. It's time to remove that and get us back to our nature. Even like every day we go outside, it's just we're not connecting the same anymore as Black people. We're not. The mask is covering us, our face. You don't know if I'm smiling or not. People living fearful. People, I had neighbors, they don't want to say hi to me no more. It's like people I go visit my mom. I see my neighbors. Like the relationships has changed. And that's just a psychological warfare that we have to come out victorious. We cannot lay down. We have to continue to fight. And right now it's not a physical fight. They might perceive to be that way, but right now it's a spiritual fight right now. And we have to understand the enemy and how they work, so we can literally bring back our nature as a whole.
Yes.
Ashe. Yeah, all right. So that was I think well said. We're gonna let Feist close this out. But if anybody had any questions that they had, I saw some in the chat. We'll give them an opportunity. But Feist, the floor is yours. Uhuru.
Right. Uhuru. I want to thank all of our guests for participating in this episode of Uhuru Mindset. Major uhuru to Asana Ra and Chef Don. My name is Feist, and we are members of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. We say uhuru because uhuru means freedom. Is also welcoming and a greeting that we use amongst our comrades. And we believe that freedom should be on the minds of our people 24/7, 365. And I want to salute our leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Chairman of the African People's Socialist Party and founder of the Uhuru Movement, and also our international president, Columbayi Andanet, and all the comms that are on this episode right now. This episode has been extremely incredible because it ties in everything that is encompassed when we're trying to have an Uhuru mindset. And like I said, Uhuru means freedom. So we're trying to have a freedom mindset. And it's physical and it's mental at the same time. And so is the attack on African people. Like, we are clear, that we are African people. We are clear that we've been kidnapped. We are clear that our, genocide has been committed against our people is the foundation of the wealth of America, pretty much. It's the actually foundation of the wealth of the entire white world. And when you talk about, health, and you're talking about economics and politics, these are all one and the same. Everything is interchangeable. We got a saying in the movement that that economics is just concentrated politics, and Asana Ra and Chef Don, they're doing the economic portion. They're going to get into the food, the intake, what we take into to ourselves physically. And the other thing that we take into ourselves too is the colonial attack that's been happening to our people. That's why when, President Akimbo talked about the colonial virus, he's talking about not just the pandemic, not just COVID-19, but we're talking about the counterinsurgency of the drugs that was pumped into our community. When we first started seeing the change where we went from calling each other brother and sister to looking at each other leery eyes because we had the crack epidemic that was pushed into our communities, that we said back in the 1970s, that there was part of that counterinsurgency. You had many people in our communities, targeting the drug dealers and targeting, many different people within that apparatus. But, one of these songs that Dead Prez came out with, they had this portion in the beginning that had Chairman Elijah Teller doing a piece on it. He talked about the wolves and the young people, being that wolf and licking the blade and thinking they're feeding themselves, but they're killing themselves. It's the same thing with our diet. It's the same thing when our people get into these institutions and working in the interests of the colonizers, working, and so much so that they're piling on that attack, that colonial attack, which we call the colonial virus, that comes in so many different shape, forms, and formations, and what y'all talking about, Asana Ra and Chef Don, the great thing about the economic portion, we understand that we need to control all the resources within our community. We need to control the healthcare, the education, the housing, and the rest of it. That affects, us establishing our businesses. That affects us, how we teaching our children, even defending ourselves when the state attacks us, when we're not getting our children a proper vaccine, or we can't get our children into schools because they don't have all the MRI shots that they're required to do. So you've seen African people put together homeschooling situations, that's self-determination, that's real self-democracy, and every single point of our existence here in the United States, which is a colonial settler state. That's where we live in. A lot of our people like to say that we're citizens, but that's by name only. That's why, if food ain't killing us, the counterinsurgency and drugs pumped in our community ain't killing us, then it might be the police that's killing us. And at the same time, we have situations within our own household, within our own families. That's colonial mindset where we're thinking that, this food that we eat is a comfort. It's a colonial mindset where we're thinking we get this particular degree or our business established, that's freedom. But we're clear, real freedom is self-determination, which is the highest form of democracy. You know what I'm saying? And we want to have that in every shape, form, or fashion in our lives and in our communities. That's the Uhuru mindset. And we're getting rid of the colonial mindset through everything, through food, to economics, to self-determination, and the rest of it. So again, I want to thank Asana Ra and Chef Don for joining us. This is the Uhuru mindset. This is how we're going to get free. Join the organization, join impidom.org, join the party at APSP. Check out the links. We're getting free. We're doing the work. We are winning. That's the Uhuru mindset. Uhuru.
Woo! I love these shows, man. So, thank you for tuning in for another hour of Black Power. And until next time, stay in the Uhuru state of mind.